Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 5 of Fix My Coaster Layout, a collaborative series between Brian Andrelczyk and I, where we take user-submitted coaster designs and offer feedback on areas like flow, realism, and anything else requested by the user. So in the last episode, we looked at Observe the Train's wooden roller coaster called Tremors in the middle of their big sandbox park here, and right here we're looking at what Brian did for his redesign. Now Brian first cleared out a few of the surrounding pathing and rides and rebuilt the ride with a very CCI sort of style, which is Custom Coasters International. The final result looks really impressive. The theming around the coaster is kind of minimal, but really clean looking, and a nice mix of terrain surface textures and foliage as well. I think the station building is a real highlight here, and it really shows the importance of using kind of a mix of different walls and fence types when you do one of these larger sort of buildings. I think these mesh fences in particular work really well and have quite a neat little effect. I really like how they look. I also love the little entrance plaza too, with the gardens and trees kind of nestled in there as well, kind of blocking the view of various bits and pieces. So yeah, I think that was really well done. Some things I took away from the layout were just how nice these kind of nested swoopy turnaround sections look. I think Brian actually referred to them as CCI turnarounds. The stretched drops and climbs, like this one here and the big first drop, I think also look really good, and that's definitely something that Brian uses a lot in his wooden coaster designs, and it's something I've definitely started using in my wooden coasters a fair bit as well. Some tracks in the game, it doesn't work as nicely with the transition between the kind of shallow and the steep, but it just looks relatively smooth for the wooden tracks. So yeah, that was really nicely done too. And Brian actually also gave some pretty comprehensive info on the brake run and transfer track setup, which was really interesting and something I got a lot out of. So I think with that done, it is time to move on to the next submission for this episode. So here we have something a little bit different for the series, and that is actually a non-coaster layout that we're going to be looking at today. We're actually going to be working on a log flume called the Silver and Gold Log Flume Co, which was submitted by thorthe2nd, which is contained within his very impressive looking work-in-progress sandbox park called Six Flags Coaster Kingdom. Now, what thorthe2nd has told us is that he can't seem to squeeze in a log flume layout that he likes in this space, which is kind of bounded by the miniature railway and a couple of big coasters here. Now, he did also mention that he'd like to keep the station platform where it is, as well as this big drop finale here, which is actually using part of a side friction coaster, forming part of this kind of speed hill and final splashdown, which I think looks really nice. Now, taking a look at what's been done here, I think it's actually a really solid start. Like the splashdown, as I was kind of saying before, I think looks really good. It's got some great interaction with the path, and then I love these like kind of water jets out the side of this kind of little mining barrels. I think that's a really cool little feature there, and good interaction with the exit and queue line as well. So no criticisms there. I like how he's got some of the bobsleigh track on some of these turns for the log flume. I guess is kind of extra barriers or kind of larger channels to catch some of the water that splashes out there. Also smart use of the hillside here too for the climb before the big drop, just to reduce the amount of supports that you kind of see. Having said that, the rest of the layout could probably use a few more turns and curves. It's rather kind of boxy looking overall, especially with this long straight section out the back here next to the railroad. Since you're so limited elements wise for log flumes in the game, to me it's important to make use of them like as much as possible, particularly S-bends, as they do at least offer at least a hint of a diagonal looking section. So yeah, I think that's definitely one area that could be improved. In terms of scenery, the station building looks nice to me, and I really don't think I could do much better than that. I might make a few changes here and there, but overall I think it looks pretty solid. There's some really reasonably nice scenery around the place as it is. You know, there's a few hints of a mining sort of theme. I'd probably want to mix it up a little bit more, especially in terms of like the trees and the shrubs. There's just kind of a few rows here, which I think it'll be maybe a little better if we go for more of a clustered sort of approach in areas. But yeah, overall it's a really solid looking ride, and you know, I think I'm only going to be making a few changes to it. Probably just this section here where I try and focus on, you know, getting a few more sort of curvy sections in there. Maybe get some kind of slalom section going, using lots of S-bends. Similar to some of the coasters I've used, I also want to get like a good amount of left-right turn combinations, just to try and get the overall flow looking good. I'll also make a few adjustments to the scenery at the end as well. So I think that's just about it, and I think it's time to get started. Alright, so I think to start with here, we're going to be removing the section just after the start of the ride, just around the back of the building here, then this long straight section just about up until this turnaround here, as well as that probably from the top of the lift hill, just this little section here, yeah, between the top of the lift hill and the start of that big splashdown. Alright, so I think we're going to be just about starting off here again. I did actually leave a little bit of the bobsleigh track there just because I might end up using that later on just to beef up some of the channels around the place, just to add a bit more realism later on. But anyway, we're going to get stuck into it here. So before we had just kind of the basic 180 degrees and then into a bit of a straight section. But I think we'll try and add a bit of curvature straight away by putting in a left-right and then maybe an S-bend. And then something like this, where we get stuck into our first lift hill. Now, yeah, I just think it looks a little bit more interesting when you can get in a few left and rights and an S-bend. It just makes the most of what is, in essence, a pretty limited selection of elements. But yeah, it's just making the most of it where you can. Now, I would quite like to do a drop straight after the lift hill, but I don't think we're going to quite have enough space for that, so I might have to go back a little bit. Might just do a 90-degree turn like that, and I think we'll have to come out this way. And maybe do it like this instead, just to give ourselves a couple extra tiles. Now I think we were at 40 before, so if we go up to 45, we can do one small drop and then into our turnaround like that. Okay, so now I think I haven't ridden many log flumes in my life, but the ones I have ridden, I'm pretty sure they've had sort of slalomy or switchback sections, and I have noticed there's I have watched a few point of view videos on YouTube of log flumes, and they tend to be elevated sections as well, so I think we'll do something like that. Now I did disable clearance checks there just to get past this mine shaft. I'm not too bothered by that. I prefer not to use disable clearance checks for the actual track itself. Like I don't want it to be able to do that, obviously, but for bits of scenery, I'm not too bothered by it. So yeah, we'll get into that. A couple S-bend sections, a turnaround, another turnaround like so. Then it's probably time we do a small drop like that. I think we'll have one tile flat just to have a little bit of a splashdown area. I could go back in like this. And then maybe another S-bend, just and into a big drop like that. It's not the biggest of the ride, but it's certainly That should be a lot of fun. So yeah, just reiterating what I was saying before, instead of having a section like this where you just go 180 degrees and turn around like that, having these S-bends in there really add to the flow of the ride, I think. So just something like that. I think it just makes it look a lot more interesting. Okay, so now I'm pretty sure there was an on-ride photo section in the original layout, so we'll put that back in there. And we can probably just turn into this section like that. Now I was pretty happy with how this section looked originally. Just it had kind of the S-bend there. It's maybe a little straight overall, but I don't think it's too bad. Actually, what I think I will change is adding another S-bend. Something like that. Yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with how that looks. So we'll move on now to the section at the top of the lift hill here and into this big splashdown here, which I'm not actually going to modify. I think that looks pretty good as it is. So we need to get from 55 to 50, so I think we can do a drop down like this. I'd quite like to go out this way, rather than just going into a 180 degree arrangement like that. I think it'll be a bit more fun if we maybe do something like this. I think the coaster's in the way there. So what we might actually do is go just up to 50 instead, and then hopefully we can squeeze that arrangement in. Yeah, something like that I think is a little bit more interesting. If we won't quite fit in now, if we go S-bend, yeah, this should work. Perfect. So yeah, not only did that solve our little problem of getting one height unit up, we've also added a little bit more curvature with that S-bend. Alright, so I'm pretty happy with how that looks. I think it certainly adds a lot more flow and curvature to the ride, as opposed to just the long straight section that was there originally. So yeah, what I'm going to do now is get stuck into a bit of decoration and theming. I'll try and stick with the kind of mine sort of theme, do a bit of trees and decoration, shrubbery work, and I might beef up some of these channels with some of the bobsleigh track like I was saying earlier. So yeah, I'll get stuck into that now. Alright, so I think that's just about enough. So I ended up doing about an hour's worth of decorating actually. I kept with the mining, or actually it's more of a forest or woodland sort of theme really. Added in a bit of a vent or air conditioning unit sort of thing at the top of the station building. I added in some bobsleigh track pieces just around some of the turnarounds. I used a bit more tile inspector trickery than I usually do in these sort of videos. Stuff like this though, it's definitely in the nice to have category, but I do really enjoy adding little details like that. I added in a bit of a maintenance structure just before the big drop here. And I also added in a bit of a rocky tunnel just in this little kind of turn section here, just as I wasn't a fan of the plain straight vertical faces, so I just wanted to kind of make that look a bit more natural looking. So for those who are interested, the stats went up from about 6.5 to 7 excitement, which I think is mostly down to the additional scenery pieces used, with the intensity and nausea ratings roughly the same. Not that I care too much about the stats in this case, this was more about focusing on the flow and aesthetics of the ride. So yeah, thanks to thorthe2nd for sending in this design. Make sure to go over and check out Brian's redesign as well. I'm really interested to see how he goes about working on this one. If you'd like to get involved in the series, you can send through a coaster layout, or any other ride for that matter, either in the track or park format, including the new .park format to fixmycoasterlayout@gmail.com. Please include a couple background details on the ride, as well as your desired username. Thanks all very much for watching. I hope it was an enjoyable watch and you liked seeing something a little bit different, and hopefully see you in the next video. Alright, cheers, bye!